You said that you actually got negative feedback from people about traveling with kids. Like, it kind of scared you of that?
I remember I was at a Christmas party. My wife was due in March, and we were at a Christmas party, and one of my other buddies there, his wife was due like around the same time as us, and his first as well. He's like, man, I don't know about you, but like I'm nervous right now. Like everybody's excited, but I'm nervous, like the stuff I'm hearing. I'm like, yeah, me too. And then, you know, it happened, and just like we rolled with it, and everything has just been like so much better. Like you can't explain, like, you know, how much it dramatically improves your life and this and that. But I feel like the women, like a lot of them are way more supportive of each other. Like, I'll give them that. They're like, you know, they have the shower and all that stuff. And like the guys, again, so I try to, you know, reinforce that with guys like, hey man, like, yeah, there's gonna be things that come on. Yeah, you're gonna lose sleep, you're gonna have to adjust, but like the positives that come are like way more than the negatives, like by far.
Welcome to the Tango1 Podcast, everybody. Today's episode, we got my co-host Mike DeFazio with me, and
what's up?
And Rob Pileski, the owner of RTP Construction, who actually built our beautiful studio and everything that surrounds us in this garage gym.
Yes.
So it's kind of, you were saying it's kind of different for you to actually come back into a building when it's operational after you built it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, especially because like I'm a member of the gym, and like it's awesome what you guys are doing here, and to see like a really cool use of the space. Like it's not a run-of-the-mill business or, you know, some type of boring business I wouldn't really go back to. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, you're a member. You became a member after this whole like thing. Like, we didn't know each other before you started building, and I didn't know I was gonna have so much contact with the builder, which is kind of like one of the compliments I have of your business. I felt like really important, even though I didn't know transaction. My transaction was the landlord. You're the guy who you had the contract with the landlord, but it was awesome. I was able to communicate with you all the time, and you know, I was reading in your bio that one of your things is like, you know, for the small businesses, and I really felt that you really pressed to get this thing open, so you knew there was going to be a real issue with me if we couldn't basically be closed for a weekend and reopen up. So I really appreciated that part. Yeah,
for sure, man. It was great working with you too. Obviously, like I never met you before, but right away, like just like tell you're a good dude, and was like, okay, I'm gonna like help this guy out. Like, not that I wouldn't otherwise, but for sure, I wanted to make things work for you guys. And
well, I knew when I met you had an Arc'teryx coat on, same as mine, and you had a mustache. I'm like, well, all right, this guy's all right.
There we go. See, the mustache is the thing, man.
Yeah. I tried to shape mine in a little bit for you guys before the podcast.
I might have to read you. Mike's all in all the time.
I love it.
I try to like use mine for certain situations.
It's always super crisp when I come back from the barber, but then I gotta shave it on my own, or I'm at the barber all the time. So I have to shave it on my own, and it never looks the same. He does such a good job.
Yeah.
So at what point did you know that you were interested in joining? Because you wanted to get the bike from me, and I'm like, oh, you know, he's got a home gym. And at what point it was kind of like threw me off that you were like in for the gym after all that time that we, you know, it felt like months that we were communicating.
Yeah, I think just after a certain point, you just kept bugging me. You just kept like coming for a workout. I was like, all right, I'll come for a workout. And then
I'll come for a damn workout.
I was like, yeah, I think I did the free week, and I was like, you know what, honestly, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it, but there's just like something about the vibe in the gym and the people and like the way you guys do it that it's just, honestly, it's I've worked out in a lot of gyms, honestly, a lot of different personal trainers over the years, and I really like what you guys are doing. And it just, you feel comfortable, you feel at home, but it's like you want to go back because like it's also the little group you work out with. Like if you're not showing up the next day at 6, you know people are kind of gonna like chirp you the next day, like, well, where are you? Like, why'd you miss it? Like, whatever, you know what I mean? And you know they're there putting the work in, so like you got to go too. And but no, I look forward to going.
And you joined Windsor. Today will be actually first workout here. Yeah. I can't stay. Are you staying for your workout?
I can't stay too.
If I would have known, well, you said you couldn't stay, I was going to stay.
Yeah.
Would have had it set. But yeah, Rob had a funny thing that happened the first. So I don't even know if you know this. There's Sean, right? Sean and Drummond have been there since like day one. And Sean is like, he comes in, he puts his stuff, he comes so freaking early, puts his stuff in the same spot every day. So Rob comes for his workout and actually comes earlier than Sean. and then the next day I think Nikki came, and Sean had like come. He was there before Nikki, like waiting. so that he could get it and be the first one there, put his stuff where it was like hilarious how this became. But yeah, it's fun time. I love coaching in Windsor when it's like you and Drummond and Sean and everybody's chirping each other down at the end and working, but most importantly working hard. And the ladies that are in that class are awesome.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah,
it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So man, like let's talk about you a little bit. It's like you've got a young kid, you got another one on the way. This
I didn't know that. Congrats.
Thanks. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I thought you only had the one because I remember you guys
have a lot in common. You
yeah. When do you guys do?
October 29th.
Oh shit, we're like the 23rd.
Really?
No way.
Imagine you guys were in the hospital at the same time.
Yeah,
that'd be so funny. That would be epic.
Yeah, so we're right behind you there. Yeah, so we got a little one on the way, number 2, 2.5-year-old little guy, just crazy man, but he's awesome. Yeah, it's great.
It is awesome, right?
Yeah, it's the best. Yeah.
The one thing that everybody said, and like it's that, and I hope you're feeling the same thing, is it does truly always get better.
Oh yeah,
it just keeps getting better. Maybe not in their teens, we'll see, but like it for me, that's been the one thing that I think my father said to me is like it just keeps getting better, and it has for me.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys experience that.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I'm probably gonna annoy him more than he annoys me, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm on the up and up with that.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. Are you done your food yet? Are you done yet? Are you done? You want to go play? Oh, that's gonna be me.
Do you know if you're having a boy or a girl?
We're having a boy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you know?
We're having a girl.
Oh,
nice.
Wow, you got the perfect little
family. Yeah.
Yeah, no, part of me was like, it would be nice to have 2 boys just because like brothers and like, just like playing together and stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely happy. Like, because I've heard things about girls being calmer than boys, which I'm kind of looking forward to.
So let me tell you, man, we were just at the cottage last week and there was 13 kids. 11 were boys. 2 little girls.
Wow.
This little girl, one of the little girls, she might as well be a boy. She's a tomboy, full and full. She's like full energy. But the one little girl, she sat in a hammock and read for 5 hours a day. Like, I'm like, and she's like 9. I'm like, then my boys are like that old like Instagram thing you see. Are my boys in the house? Are they on the house? Are they lighting a fire? Where are these kids, right? Like, stop jumping on the trampoline. It's just wild. It's I wonder if you're going to experience it. It's probably going to be like that.
I think my wife's hoping so.
Yeah. But you're like super calm. Is your wife like a firecracker?
We're both super calm.
Really?
Yeah.
That's bound to happen. But your son is not.
Well, I mean, he's 2.5, so he's just like boundless energy, right? But I think we'll see. We'll try to bring the calm energy, but we'll see what happens.
It's funny. It's funny because Lisa and I are both not calm.
Yeah.
And like I'm like,
guys are like opposite of wrong.
Yeah. We're like. It's funny you're saying like there was like the 11 boys and the one girl was like a tomboy. Like Lisa always talks about when she was younger, she only wanted to hang out with the guys because everything the girls were doing was just lame. Like Lisa wants to be on the wakeboard boat, on the motorcycles, jumping off the bridges, like climbing the trees. Like Lisa's just like that, and I love that about her. I'm like, this little kid's gonna have the craziest life, man, because we're both like that. We're both super high energy. It's fun. Like I'm excited.
Yeah, for real. I mean, and then he starts doing crazy stuff, and you're going to be like, whoa, hold on, slow down. Let's not get hurt.
Don't get hurt. Yeah.
Well, it is funny. Like I've done some crazy things in my life. I remember like jumped off buildings and stuff, and then I'm like on a bridge, or not a bridge, a pier in Florida. And my boys are like leaning on the edge, and I'm like, get away from the edge. Like I'm like, like you get this like parental like protector, and that's like I don't know if you're finding that, and maybe too as your boy gets a little older, it's like. It's very hard to like you gotta let them do these things, right? And they're sometimes dangerous. I guess that's where I find myself struggling as a father a lot of times. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we'll see when he gets there how I feel about it, but yeah, I definitely agree with like grew up pretty outdoorsy, so like we were like exposed to a lot of like not like super crazy stuff, but like just more rustic, I guess you could say. And our parents kind of let us roam quite a bit, and you know what I mean. I want to try and do the same thing if we can. Let them explore and not have a tight leash on them. I think a lot of parents like our age are like seeing that we're like they're reacting to like some of the parents who are like keeping their kids too like closed in now, right? And now they're like, okay, like we actually got to like let these kids like explore a little bit because everybody's so like wound tight and like scared, anxiety, all this stuff, right? Well, so
I find like growing, like I don't have like obviously I don't have my little man here yet, but like growing up, even just realizing like the kids that I grew up with, the ones that had their parents with a super tight leash on, those kids lashed out the hardest in their 20s once they were out of the house. It was like they lashed out, and like I honestly it wasn't good. It wasn't good to experience them going through that. Like like the parents cared so much, kept them on such a tight leash that by the time they were out of the house, it was like, it was too much. It was not good. Like they went off the deep end in a lot of different bad ways. And it's like, I honestly feel like going through those things and like having that little bit of freedom, like going exploring, going to get hurt, I guess, like, or the ability to get hurt, doing dangerous things safely, like having those experiences, I feel like you learn a different way because you're doing things on your own time. Like, because that's what we were. We grew up, we lived on our bikes. We went around, whether we were doing good things, bad things, or doing whatever. It was like we did them because we wanted to do them. And we learned which was good, which was bad. Like, obviously came from a super loving family, but I've had friends that came for where like they had to be in by this time. They had to do it this way. This is the right way, the wrong way. Don't do this. We don't do that. And then the second they were out of the house, it was just all downhill because they just wanted to like lash out. They don't have to listen anymore. It was very interesting seeing that, and I learned that at a very young age. I hope that I get to take that into like becoming a dad.
And remind yourself to do it, right?
Yeah. Where'd you grow up, Mike?
I grew up in Ford City.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I grew up exactly where I'm at now, and like there were some pretty gnarly places around that area.
That's for sure.
Around that area, you know what I mean? We weren't even allowed to hang out down in my neighborhood, but we still did it anyways, right? It'd be like, don't go down there, but then they would never check where we were.
You can go on your bike, but you got to get out of this neighborhood. Go.
yeah, go on your bike and go that way. Yeah.
I don't know what kids are doing now, like that, like 12, 13-year-old age or whatever. But like, one thing that stands out to me that like I don't know if like kids are still doing this or whatever, but like me and my buddies just all went and bought paintball guns, like individually at Canadian Tire, not even like expensive ones, like $30 paintball guns. We got together in like construction sites and like new subdivision arounds. And just started playing paintball.
That sounds amazing.
But just wearing like safety glasses, like from like a factory. That's the only thing covering our face.
Like one of the dads brought them up from Chrysler.
Yeah, like that, and like gardening gloves, and we're just running around shooting each other, and like just in some random place. And we just organized it on our own and we'd like play on weekends or whatever. I remember coming back to school and having like welts like on my neck and like. People thought it might have been a hickey, but it wasn't a hickey. It was just like a paintball welt because I got shot right in the neck on bare skin. And
amazing.
I mean, just like, I don't know if kids are still doing stuff like that, but like that was just such an awesome time that like we had that, like you said, pure freedom and just like messing around and making up our own sort of situation.
Yeah. This last vacation I went on, I told Danny when we got back, I said, I can't believe I just went on a family vacation and I miss my kids because we would get up in the morning and they slept in, there's 2 cottages. They all slept in like a family room of 1 cottage, all 10 kids or whatever, 13 kids, a couple of the younger ones, maybe not. But regardless, they'd come in, they'd fucking run in like a storm, all of them. I'd serve 40 pancakes at once. They're outside playing, like they play like some kind of wiffle ball home run game against the cottage, and then they'd be in the pool, then they'd be playing army tag, then they'd be up in the tree fort, and then they'd be like doing, like trying to build fires. And fishing. It was just awesome, but like at the same time, I'm like, oh, like I wish you're a kid who was like gonna be all over you and your wife like hanging on your knees and like still exploring but coming back. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, when are they coming back? Well, they're back. Every time they needed to eat, they came back. That was it, man. But it was awesome to see kids like just be kids, and even sometimes when we're up there, I was like, oh, maybe we should just have a rule. All of us stick together on this rule, all of the 5 families, and no devices, right? Unless maybe in the morning for an hour or something. But we didn't have to do it. The kids were not on their devices. They were so happy to be outside. And that's not normal for any of them. My kids aren't on their devices too much, but still, to all be outside and playing. I think there's like this like new revolution of fathers, and maybe it's just the algorithm that's showing me the right videos, but that are like everything that comes to my phone is like tiny homes in the wilderness. Like that's what comes to my phone, and I think there's a lot of us that believe in like bringing this back.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that sounds like an amazing trip and an amazing experience for those kids. Like
100%.
They're gonna remember those trips like forever, and like that's gonna be like the highlight of their summer doing all that, right? Like
I hope so.
You can't obviously get that experience sitting looking at a screen or whatever, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue into how we were talking about before. Is you were talking about you got vacation coming up, and being an entrepreneur and having vacations there's never a good time. I find to travel. There's maybe some times that are better, but I think you just got to do it, book it, and just make it happen.
Yeah, 100%.
And so this week, I don't know, it's like cleaning your house, like before my mom comes to visit. It's the cleanest it's going to be because she's coming to visit. And I think with business, it's good. Like when I book my trip, that week of, I get so much done. I work at like 3 times the efficiency level, I think.
Yeah.
You find the same?
Yeah, for sure. And like, I totally agree. Like, you just, my wife and I talked at a certain point, and like, it takes, time to get like employees in place, which also helps as well. But you just have to do it because you're just missing out on life. And like those projects, those things that are happening are like, they are important, but like a year later, you're not going to look back and be like, oh shit, like, I shouldn't have gone on that trip. Like, you'll get through it. Maybe there'll be some challenges along the way, or, you miss a couple emails, you're behind on a couple of things, but like, you just, you got to do it. You have to do it. And it's never been an issue. And so, yeah, I mean, the trips for me, they're not as long as I would like them to be sometimes, but we just pepper in like the long weekends and, little days here and there and that type of thing. And like, sometimes you can cram a lot into, a 3-day trip, and it feels like you're gone for a week sometimes. Yeah. If you do it right.
It's pretty cool because like Lisa and I started learning that it's not about balance, because it's not balance, it's about contrast. And it's like, that blew my mind, because it's like black and white. It's like work and then play. It's like when you blend the two, it's like that would be essentially balance. It's like then you're working on vacation, and then you're on vacation while you're working, and then it's like, well, what is and then nothing's getting done. But when you have that stark contrast, you're in like X Games mode on the week before, then you go on, then you have the contrast, and you come back, and then it's like you can catch up on everything. Like, and that it's that contrast for me, that, or for both of us really, that this gives us like, we're excited to get back to it. And like, that's not, because I didn't take a vacation until I was like 20, I think 29. Yeah, 29, I took my first vacation. And like, I started my company when I was 19 years old. Like, there was a long time where I did nothing. I never left because there was always too much to do. I was like, I can't get it done in 6 days a week. I'm going to do it in 7 days a week. And then I needed an 8th day, and it never happened, It's very interesting to hear like other people talking about the vacation thing like that, because like we pepper them in now too. It's not, we don't have like 2-week-long vacations, but we might have a couple weekend ones where we get away, and it's that contrast. It just kind of breaks the.
Well, and I think too, people do that with their kids. Like you alluded to this before the podcast, Rob, that people are also so fearful of. Like, we're fearful of leaving our businesses, but we're like fearful of not leaving our kids. We're fearful of traveling with our kids, and we make it into a bigger deal than it is. And like you said, like getting through it, like some things are gonna go wrong. Maybe the kid cries on the airplane, or there's a shitty diaper that needs to be changed. Like what happened to me, I remember we were like, just when that thing came on and we start to land the plane, my kid shits, and it's like up his back, and I've got him wrapped in a blanket, and I'm dry heaving because it smells so bad, right? Like, there's those moments, but like at the end of the day, did that ruin a trip? It didn't. And you said that you actually got negative feedback from people about traveling with kids. Like, they kind of scared you of that?
I think just maybe even like when we were expecting, like telling people, I think, yeah, that was one thing. Now, like having a kid and going through it, like not trying to like sugarcoat it, but like just trying to go out of my way a little bit more for like the dads or the dads to be, like giving a little bit of like that reinforcement, the positive feedback, because I don't know if it was just me, but like a lot of guys, again, like might have been half joking, but yeah, that type of stuff. And I was just like, man, like, and I got a little nervous. I remember I was at a Christmas party. My wife was due in March, and we were at a Christmas party, and one of my other buddies there his wife was due like around the same time as us, and his first as well. He's like, man, I don't know about you, but like I'm nervous right now. Like everybody's excited, but like I'm nervous, like the stuff I'm hearing. I'm like, yeah, me too. And then it happened, and just like we rolled with it, and everything has just been like so much better. Like you can't explain like how much it dramatically improves your life and this and that. But I feel like the women, like a lot of them, are way more supportive of each other. Like I'll give them that. They're like they have the shower and all that stuff, and like the guys again. So I try to reinforce that with guys like, hey man, like yeah, there's gonna be things that come on. Yeah, you're gonna lose sleep. You're gonna have to adjust. But like the positives that come are like way more than the negatives, like by far. So.
Yeah, that sucks. You had a lot of negative stuff like that. Like I haven't experienced that actually.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, maybe it's because I'm at the age that I'm at, like a lot of my friends have kids now, but I feel like everyone's been telling me that it's amazing. It's so exciting. Like, yeah, life's going to change, but it's going to be amazing. I'm I'm pumped, man.
Good.
I'm super excited about it.
You should be, because it's just such an awesome time. And yeah, I guess it wasn't all negative, but I remember some of those comments standing out to me, and I was just like, man, like, started just like getting your head a little bit. And yeah, so.
Yeah, and it's what you make of it too. I feel like some people just, when things happen, and not even things happen, you just become like, no, I got to get so much on that schedule. You know, like, I mean, I'm the sleep schedules, and I'm not a professional in any of this, but like, we weren't going to allow ourselves to just be defined by, no, we can't do this because of this. It's like, no, we'll figure a way. Yeah, the kid's got to get his nap in. Of course, we got to feed the kid. Like, but we're going to still do some things, and we'll work around it. And maybe the kid has to sleep in on the couch at my friend's house, or or go out and thank God. I mean, I had nothing to do with the feeding. Danny was doing all the breastfeeding, obviously. But like, yeah, thankfully we didn't have to do the bottle stuff. So she was always going off to feed him in different rooms, and she probably had her boobs out in more rooms than you could ever like imagine, right? Like, but like, we still found a way, and she was a trooper on that. And I think like a lot of people just like, they don't want that inconvenience. It's like, yeah, sure, it'd probably be easier, but man, not as fun to stay home every day.
For sure.
Every day, and just live like the monotony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was saying earlier kind of about that first flight we took, where like basically a little guy, he wasn't one yet, so he was walking, but like you couldn't really communicate with him like what's going on.
Oh, that's the challenge.
And so we got like, we're sort of towards the front, and we ended up getting on the runway, snowing, winter storm comes in, get locked on the runway, hours on the runway, then we got turned around, come back, and like we're also starting to get like self-conscious, because like little guy's kind of getting fussy, crying a bit, it's past his bedtime, whatever. So like looking around the people who are sitting near us and stuff, and like anyways, we ended up getting off, and we had to like rebook our flight for the next day. But like a couple people, one guy in particular was like very like, went out of his way to say like, you know what, like, it's so nice to hear like a little kid's voice again. Like, I miss my kids when they're at that age, and so like, we don't mind hearing a little bit of crying here and there, and whatever, it just brings back good memories. I was like, man, like, that was so nice. Like, have someone say that, because like they could tell we were probably like, feeling like bad that other people had to like, be, you hearing like a little bit of whining and crying and stuff. Nobody wants to be on the plane to begin with, and you know what I mean. So like, those are just things I remember. Like, next time I see someone on the plane maybe struggling, like, maybe like just like, give them a nod or something, and be like, it's all good, don't worry about it.
I had a similar experience. Somebody said to us, they're like, hey, the only person bothered by this crying is you.
Yeah.
And it's because you're like, you feel like you're bothering everybody else, but everybody, has been there with a crying. Most people have been there with a crying baby at some point in their lives, and it does help to make you feel a lot better about it, man. Like, for sure. Okay. Yeah. My advice trip to people for you is like, it's sure that it is free to keep your kid on your lap, but man, is it hot? Hey? And what I found was when my kids started to really move around, like at the 2 and 3, it was like, whatever, still under the whatever that limit is that they can sit on you. Is like, especially for the Florida flight, because you can get those super cheap ones. I'm buying the seat, and I take the car seat right on the airplane with me, and I strap that baby in. Then the kid, like, it's like something in their brain is like, no, I got to be in my chair. But when they're on your lap, they want to get up, walk around, get up, stand up, look at the people behind you. I was like, man, that chair and like spending that extra $100 US was priceless.
100%.
To have that, man, but it sucked. That's where it would be funny as a family. I'm like, we're just getting on an airplane, and I've got all this stuff. On the airplane. I got this car seat. I've got the
stroller.
I would say, that's kind of a bigger thing that you don't think about. Like, it's like, the kid is one thing, but then you're like, I got to bring all this other stuff and whatever. But whatever, you deal with it. Yeah, your destination, you're traveling, like where you're going, you may like rethink because of that a little bit, but you can still do it. You can make it work.
And I'm always like, do we take an Uber with no chair in it? Like, what do? You got no chair. We got to get home. We have no car. What are we gonna do? You get in the Uber, and you're like, people all over Mexico are driving without car seats all the time when I'm there. Like, these kids are all fine. Like, I don't know what. So it's like, that's kind of a funny situation too. I never know what we're gonna do. You're having dinner. You have a couple of drinks at dinner. Now you got to get your Uber. You have no car anyway. You're out in some other city. Jump in the Uber. And then I'm always wondering, like, the Uber driver. I wonder if they're ever like kick anybody out because you have no child seat. I've never seen it happen. Is that like?
No, I mean, I personally haven't been in that experience. Like, a lot of times we've traveled, we've found a way to have like a car seat, so it kind of was like a non-issue. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll be something that comes up at some point. game time decision.
Yeah. Let's talk about RTP a bit, man. So like obviously like you got this started. How did it start? I don't even know.
Yeah, 2019. I mean, I worked in the industry for about a dozen years as a project manager, and but
your background was architecture.
Yeah, did a degree in architecture actually. Yeah, and got into I just kind of graduated right around the time of the recession, 2007. Just like work was hard to come by, so I took a job as like a junior project manager sort of thing. And so I was working, actually the first project I worked on was WFCU Center, which was actually pretty cool, like huge project, biggest project by far in our area at the time, and just getting exposed to that. And so kind of started going down that path more like project management, got away from doing design and stuff like that. There was a lot more opportunity to be a project manager. And just knew from the get-go that, even like pre-university, it was always kind of my goal to eventually have my own company. I knew that was just kind of how I was wired. That was the end goal for me. So yeah, it was just a matter of like putting in your time and trying to figure out when the right time is, which is impossible to figure out, and trying to like gauge, am I comfortable enough with, leaving a job that's comfortable, and, do I have enough skills to like make this work? Can I sell myself? Can I find a way to like pay my bills? And, those questions just keep swirling around literally for years. And then, I kind of got to a point where I think I was like around 30, 31, something like that. And I really got to a point where I was like, I have a good job, truck, benefits, cell phone, good salary, everything. Like I could just ride this out. And like a lot of people get to a point in their career where they hit that and they're just like, I'm set. Like I just keep doing this. But I was just like, I felt like I was like kind of going crazy. Like I have to get out of this and like do something more. I knew I sort of just had more potential and want to explore what the possibilities were. So just went out on my own, put a plan together, like, sort of months in advance, strategizing with the wife and talking about like, a big life decision to,
right.
Are we going to kind of take this risk? And she was, super supportive, and she had a good job at the time too. So we weren't like, it wasn't super scary from that standpoint where it was like totally on me. But you hear these stories where like, people try to do these things like their spouse is not supportive or family's not supportive. They're like, you're making a dumb decision. You have a good job. Why would you quit that? Like I didn't have any of that, luckily.
That's so nice.
Yeah, I didn't either actually, which is surprising, especially since my dad was in the industry. But so for you, with your plan was there an integration? Was there a point where you were kind of doing your own thing and working? There was probably some agreements in place right? Would be it's morally wrong.
Yeah. I didn't want to be sketchy. Like I respected my boss, my employer a lot, and I was like, I don't want to be doing stuff behind these guys' backs. And had a company truck at the time, and it's like
right.
See on some other job site. You're like, what are you doing there? And
I'm just curious because like for me, I had like it was like okay, like sure, I was going to take a huge loss in income right away because we didn't have a lot of customers. But, like, I had something already rolling. But you're just, like, one day you're like, hey, anybody want me to build a building for you? Like how does that...
Yeah, to explain that.
How do you get, like, from the zero to, like, actually having clients?
Yeah, I mean, put a bit of cash aside, obviously, like, just to have a buffer. I'm like, okay, like, if I put away X amount, I can survive for, like, let's say I get, like, zero work. I can survive for, I think I had, like, 6 months, roughly. Probably should have had more. But I had like 6 months roughly, something like that.
6 months was kind of my number that I put
and
together.
I think we like said like if it came down to it, my wife's salary, like we could still pay her, like we could squeak by, we'd be okay. We wouldn't like be in significant financial risk or anything. But yeah, just went out and like a buddy of mine had a small painting company, and so I was like, let's go paint. And I actually started like first couple of jobs were just like me painting.
Really? Okay.
Just
so
it
wasn't like I'm going to be building these.
No, just little small stuff like doing, and then just snowballed from there. Kind of like where like I painted a couple houses, and they're like, well, actually, I need this done too. Like, can you help me do this or whatever? And like a lot of misses along the way, where like you're wasting your time pricing stuff and just like didn't turn into anything. Just small little connections, like one thing led to another. But yeah, like the very beginning, just straight up paint. I think I painted for an entire summer, like literally just painting houses, buildings. And it was actually kind of awesome because like I was coming from, like I was doing like $5-10 million projects, like multiple projects all over Ontario before that, like high stress, like super demanding, tons of emails, all that stuff. And then I went to just painting.
Just chilling.
I was like listening to a podcast, painting for 8 hours. And but I would still like, you know, the grind was still there where I was like, okay, like I didn't quit this job to be a painter. No offense to painters, but I was just like, okay, so I'm getting up at 5 and gonna like quote work and send out emails and try and get leads on actual construction projects. And so I'd have like rolls of drawings on my dining table. I'd be like quoting stuff, putting, you know, estimates together. And then like around like 7, I'd like take off to go to my painting jobs. And then maybe like follow up in the evening for half hour, an hour with more kind of like, you know, the estimating behind the scenes stuff. And then, yeah, just got a couple of small opportunities like through that. And just kind of one thing led to another, snowballing and references and or referrals rather, word of mouth type stuff. And, you know, friends and family helped out a lot. Like just somebody needed something done, just yes to everything. And just try and like come across super like proficient, you know, take care of it. And yeah, just kind of built up from there.
So when you're saying like you were just painting, like how did you get into, so say you're in a house, you're painting, would the client kind of come up and be like, hey, I actually need tile done here too? She would just tell you that, or did you have to like go out of your way to tell her that you could help her out with something like that? Or
yeah, I mean, just sometimes people would come up and say like, hey, like, or I need to do this. Do you know anybody who does that or whatever? And one thing led to another. Like one time we were just painting a house, the whole exterior of a house. You know, everybody's like staining their brick now. Like we started doing that when it first kind of came out. And then like literally like the lady across the street was like, hey, like I like what you guys did. Can you do my house too? And we're like, yeah, sure. And so we just like did the house across the street because she saw that and she liked it. And yeah, I trying to jog my memory. I think my brother-in-law connected me with someone he worked with who had an investment property and they wanted to do some renovations and like, you know, they didn't know where to start. So he like connected me with them and I went and did this job where, you know, it was like a little bit of demo and like painting all the walls. Like they're getting it ready to like make it ready, kind of like a white box for like a new tenant. Mm-hmm. And so it was like clearing out a ton of junk and a little bit of electrical, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I just like, aside from the electrical, I just like did it all myself. Like I was there by myself, hauling garbage out, throwing it into a bin, painting, like cleaning the floors, everything. And so like that's just what I did for a little while. And like, you know, you can do pretty well on some jobs if you're, you know, it's not the right way to do it long term. But in the beginning I was like, okay, like I'm just gonna like get dirty, do all this stuff. And then, you know, you build up the bank account a little bit. And yeah, again, just try and stay in touch with those people. Maybe they connect you with someone else. And yeah, and then COVID kind of happened and like construction sort of like went crazy during COVID.
Yeah.
Yes,
you know, yeah.
So there was kind of a lot of opportunities there. People needed people. And also having like the project management background, part of my business strategy was to like pursue sort of like general contracting, construction is like what I did here, but also like make myself available as a project manager. Because I was like, well, if someone's already paying me to do this, like within a company, like I'm sure somebody else will be willing to like pay me to do it, like, but on a contract basis. Right. So then it's like, you're not having to worry about paying like benefits and like all these other things. You could say, hey, like I have a project, it's 6 months. I need you to take care of it for me. And so I had a couple opportunities come up like that where I did some like project management stuff, which was kind of weird because like I was still dabbling in like these like renos where I was like getting dirty all day. And then I'd have to like put on like a nice shirt and then like go to like a site meeting for like a like a large project that I was in charge of. And it was kind of a weird, like, you know, having my feet in both ends sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
So I think like on a smaller scale, like for me with the gym, it was like, man, I used to run boxing classes and then we had like a boot camp and we just had so many things, like, you know, throwing shit at the wall for lack of like a better word.
Yeah.
At what point do you like, did you do now? Maybe you don't even do this now. Is it still like, you know, I'll kind of do anything if it, or is it like, this is my niche? Like I do buildings that are old buildings and turn them into this. What is kind of...
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to say like, we'll do anything because then you're kind of like mediocre at a lot of things instead of being like kind of narrowing down.
That's why we don't do everything anymore.
I still have the project management as something we will do. Like if it's something like if it's a good opportunity or a project like we want to be a part of, like we believe in the project and it's appealing to us, like we'll do that. And we're starting a project soon that is like going to be a really cool, great opportunity for us to be a part of on the project management side. And then construction, like for whatever reason, intentional or not, we kind of just fell into more of these renovation projects. And I think part of that is because like renovations are tough. They're dirty. They require a lot of like thinking to do right.
Planning,
and a lot of like the contractors who are kind of well set up, like they might not want to bother with those a lot of times, or like they'll just charge a super high price because it's like there's a lot involved. Like, you know, if he wants to do it, you're going to pay a premium. And then there's kind of like low level guys who will get involved, but they're like, you know, for lack of a better term, kind of hacks. They'll get in there, like, you know, do some stuff half-assed or, you know, not made properly, take forever to get it done, start, leave, come back later. So we're kind of like, look, there's an opportunity here to come in here and like in between these two worlds and try and really like dial down on renovations, commercial specifically, where it's like a pain point for a lot of people. You own a business, you know, you want to renovate, you want to like freshen up your space. It's something that we can come in now and say like, look, we have a plan in place to like do this. So it's going to like mean minimum downtime for you guys. We're going to come in, work around your schedule. We're going to get it done as seamlessly as possible so that you guys will have this like great new space. And, you know, it's going to be like I said, minimum impact to your business and handle it professionally, properly, you know, meet a schedule. And we also like, you know, through again, some previous connections from my like past career, like we bring in we try to bring in a full service to our clients where we're like, we'll bring in the designer, the engineers, we'll handle the permits, everything you need. So you don't have to do anything except sign on this contract and then just pay the bills and you'll have a finished product at the end of the day.
Yeah. When you did this building, so the part I was impressed with was my impression of construction and the little bit of, I guess, you know, that I've had with it. Me actually managing the building that we own in Kingsville, the hiccups that we had there in opening and getting like an architect to you know, do whatever they have to do so that they could stamp it and the town can approve it. That was like, it took me longer to open the one in Kingsville. We really didn't even do anything than it did to get here and open, and because you guys took care of everything and you were like almost to the day with everything that you said. And there was a couple of hiccups with permits and whatever, maybe the bath, I don't remember what it was, but it was, you were like, hey, by next week we should have this. By this week we were pretty much happening. Like I couldn't believe I went away for the one period of time and came back to like, it was like, oh my God, there was no floors in here. Not even a piece of cement left on the ground, and came back to where it was like, wow, this looks like a gym already. Like it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah,
that's got to be pretty satisfying too. Like even just painting a wall at your house is so satisfying. You know, or putting down flooring, I always say, is like makes the room look so good. But like you get to do that all the time. That's got to feel pretty damn good when you walk into a place.
Yeah, I mean, this one was really cool because this like, again, this building was rough, like to put it lightly. You know, so to take something that's so rough and like we kind of revamped the entire structure on the one side where we raised the roof and rebuilt like sagging roof and sagging beams and all that stuff. We put in new structure and obviously just like breathe new life into it. Ton of windows, freshen it up, bright, new lighting everywhere. We poured the whole like new concrete floor slab, so it's like nice level floor. And it was just, I love seeing that. That's one of the most rewarding parts, like, especially like with these old buildings, you know, to see something that's just like an eyesore, you know, dilapidated, you know, neglected, and then bring it new life essentially is like, it's awesome.
Right. Like it was pretty, when Tom called me, I didn't know Tom at all. We have some like connections, and he's like, goes, what do you think? And like immediately I said, this is the place. And I called the staff, my team over, and I was actually so pumped because like how belief that they have in what we do. They're like, they could all see it. And Tom, to his credit for sure, could see it.
Yeah.
And then you guys brought it to life and actually one-upped what we expected. Which is also something to be said about you and your company, and why I like, you know, respect you so much from a business standpoint, not even a friendship standpoint. Was that like, it was like, this is better than we imagined. It was better than I could have described. When our customers walked in here that first morning, man, especially the people, it was like, I felt so proud to like, the people that came to my house in that shit building over there that we had on the corner, that like just loved it. They loved the grittiness of it, but it was like, hey, like we deserve better now.
Yeah.
And we walked in here and this has been what it's been since day one, and they love it.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, it's a great space. Yeah.
It's been awesome. Yeah. You guys killed it.
Thanks, man.
Killed it. So what, like, do you, you know, are you expecting, do you like go out searching for these places, or what, do you like sometimes drive by and like see a little shit building, you're like, hey, You want to do something with that? You call people up? Like,
I mean, I'd love to get into like, expanding my business where I'm doing it more for myself, where like I'm buying up the buildings, fixing them up, and trying to find a tenant. Like stuff Mike's doing. Like I love that idea. But that's probably that's kind of in the future for us. We just actually kind of built out our own office. We sort of did that. We bought like a real piece of shit, but like we've totally fixed it up, like from top to bottom, stripped out everything down to the bare bones and rebuilt it. Like it looks great now. So yeah, I mean, that's something that we don't seek out from that standpoint, but like definitely I think we're trying to get our name out there in terms of like just the renovation side, and people who have tougher projects and they want it done properly. Like we try to get that out there and hopefully get some referrals or leads from that type thing.
Well, I remember like you're kind of the guy that I think of now for these old crazy buildings, like doing the work that I've done on Drouillard. I know and understand how complex some of these problems can get. I've always just taken them all. Like I've tried to. We've met a couple of times to take on these projects, and honestly, the reason why we haven't is I get flustered and frustrated with it. I just start doing it, and then I'm like midway through, I'm like, why am I doing this? But then I'm knee deep in a renovation. But man, I would love the day that even maybe you and I get in a project and we do it like that, because you're the guy that can do it much better than me. I just have the vision for some of these places. But I know you as the guy. Like I know you did the building right next door here too. Like you're like becoming the guy that takes on these pain in the ass old renovations. I think they're the most rewarding ones. Like they're my favorite.
Yeah.
But you're the guy when I think of these buildings. Like that's why I called you to go look at that one on Drouillard with me, because I got my hands up, like I got no idea what to even do here, and you're like, you need a plan first. I'm like, and then that's when I just start doing. And then
he doesn't do that.
I skipped the plan part, and I was like, I just got to do something. So I start doing it, and then I regret it immediately. But yeah, like that's
I think we'll connect one day. Honestly, I could see it happening for sure.
Yeah, like I would love to, man, because I understand them, and I love the projects. Like everything in Ford City is so, the scale of renovation is huge. All you have left is 4 walls, if you even have 4 walls. Like I've done the one project I just finished, it was only 3 walls. I had to tear down half the building and rebuild it. And I'm like, why? I'm a furniture builder. Why am I even dealing with masons putting in a garage door? Like putting beams in. I'm like, I don't want to be the guy doing that. I just want to look at it when it's finished.
It's all right.
Yeah, you should have done. I should have given you that whole project to do, man.
No, we'll connect one day, and like, you're the type of guy I want to work with too, because like you have the passion for it. Like you've breathed new life into Ford City with like your investments there, and like your business is a namesake there. And so like when people get excited about projects and they're interested in it, they're not just like slapping a quick coat of paint on it. They actually want to like do something cool. Like those are the people we really truly want to work with.
For sure.
It just makes it just such a better project, and like we're bouncing ideas off each other and like getting excited about the end product. So yeah, I could see that happening.
I'm sure you're probably like super good at this now, but like the problem solving of like, we think X, Y, and Z is behind this wall, and then you open it up and it's something totally different, and you're like, wow, the roof's caving in. Like I'm sure you've gotten so good at just problem solving on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, there's like virtually nothing that scares me anymore with that type of stuff. Like where you just like, I've had so many like stomach drop moments where it's like, especially with my own business, where I'm like, oh shit, I didn't account for that, or you know what I mean. And we've gotten through everything, and now you just expect the unexpected, and it doesn't even faze me anymore. And we just go into problem solving mode, and there's always 99% of the time it's like nowhere near as bad as you think it is when you first see the issue or whatever it is, and there's always a solution. Like everything gets resolved, and but yeah, it makes you like a better builder and like problem solver by going through those, like anything in life, right? Just like we're going through super challenging projects, and it's just making you better as a contractor, and you understand things more, and like being able to like work through those difficult situations.
I know with SWAT, we would, I was the team leader, and you'd get to these big things and problem solving. I was lucky, especially my first years. I had like a couple of guys, you look over and they're like, got a big wad of chewing tobacco in there, and they're like, literally like they've seen this 100 times before, and there's like 0 word in them, and they'd be like, hey, this, did you think about this? Do this, and this. And I'm like the one who's the leader, but they're leading. Like they're leading through me, I just happen to have that title. Do you have somebody that you lean on like that? Do you have like a vet that's like really like helps you to like don't worry about this, we got it type thing?
I have had those guys in the past when I worked for bigger companies, but no, I kind of have to be that guy right now. Where I see, especially guys who, even though they may have more experience than me, like they'll get in, maybe like they haven't done as many renovations as me or whatever. Like they'll see stuff and they'll kind of start like stressing. I'm like, man, it's fine. Like just this is what we're gonna do. I'm like, give me this information. We'll sort it out. But yeah,
your personality definitely lends to this kind of like you like.
The calm.
When you were talking about your son a little bit, when you talk about starting out this, that's about the most excited I've ever seen you. We've had some of the, actually our first one was talking on the phone about some electrical, and you had to drop me a quote that I was like, but it wasn't your quote, from somebody else, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I think we're texting.
You're like calming me down. Like, what are you talking about, right?
Yeah.
So on the pricing side, like, because we're in my own shop now, right? Like if I quote something bad, I just eat it and I find a way to get it done. Like I know that's going to be different in your industry because everything dollar wise is so much higher. Like how do you do it if you misquote something? So I'm not even talking about like a big problem. Like you open up the wall and you find out there's no structure there. Like not even something like that. Because I'm assuming you have clauses in there like the unknowns, the pricing. But say you're like, I quoted $10,000 for electrical and I did I gave the electrician the wrong information and it comes in at $20,000. Like how do you go about that with the clients? Because where does that extra $10,000 come from? Does that just come from your pocket at that point?
Oh man, you're hitting too close to home right now. Yeah, we had something like this happen recently, and it's very rare. Like for me, luckily it hasn't happened much. Like on one side of it is like I try to price things intelligently, so like I maybe like cover a little room for error, so if there's something
right
I can like just not even bring it up and was like, okay, like we have a little like contingency maybe. But yeah, I mean, it has happened where like I had a situation where I had a general contract that I quoted, a subcontractor gave me a quote, and there was the understanding that he had something included, and then after the fact, he didn't have something included. Sometimes you have to have a difficult conversation with the client and be like, look, like this is an honest mistake, and like this, like, and you kind of have to put it back in the client's hands and kind of say like, how do you want to handle this? Like, you know what I mean? And if you're dealing with good people who are, fair and honest and reasonable, generally, like, you just find a way to work it out, and you try to be like, okay, look, I'm going to do everything in my power to like minimize this impact to you financially or whatever, or maybe try and find a way to like throw a bone their way in some other way. But yeah, it sucks. You have those difficult situations, and you just try to handle it professionally. Like, again, you could throw your hands up and say like, sorry, too bad, and be a dick about it, or it's just you got to think about handling it professionally and like think about like, for me, I'm always like, how's this client going to remember me at the end of this project? And like, if someone asks them about me and how it went, are they going to remember like that bad thing, even though we did like 100 really good things? And so I want to like always think about that, and like the taste you leave in people's mouths at the end of the project is what they're going to remember. And our projects and our business is really based around a lot of referrals and word of mouth and just personal connections, and so like we consider that like a really important thing to make sure that like we're handling things right, and our customers feel like, okay, this guy's not being dishonest with us, and he's genuine, he's trying to like solve these problems for us, and you know what I mean? So yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, because I ask my clients all the time that are either building or doing big renovations, it's like, would you do it again? And it's 50-50, honestly. Half of them love it and they're like, can't wait to do it again. The other half of them are like, actually, I wouldn't say it's 50-50. It's probably like 20% are like, I would love to do it again. The other 80% are like, never, ever am I building a house again. I'm never dealing with it again. And I'm like, I don't know, I love it.
I mean, I thought you did, like the situation I brought up earlier, it was small beans in terms of money, which I'm sure that like some of these massive projects are, but we just met here. You said, okay, and I loved what you did there, because I think that's what we talk about in here. It's like clarity prevents resent, and it was like, and let's stop this text messaging. And
100%
strand. Let's just get you, me, and the other contractor that was involved in that decision, and let's meet and let's see if we can work this out. And that's exactly what we did. And I really respected that. And I left there, and I did leave there with a good taste in my mouth, happy with what was happening. Nobody wants to spend money, but happy with the money I was spending, and feeling like I got the right value, and nobody feels ripped off. And then friendship continues. Like,
you can tell a difference.
It doesn't have to be a friendship. Ours turned into one, but the relationship continues, which is the most important. Yeah,
for sure. And you can tell. I mean, I'm sitting here today. We were able to work that out, and you know what I mean.
And I got a customer on it.
There's a tactic.
There you go.
No, but I mean, part of it also goes back to my subcontractor who was the electrician for this project, and I've known him for a long time. I consider him a friend, and so that's part of also what we bring to the table. Where the subcontractors we work with, it goes all the way down the chain. It's not just me. It's all the guys we work with who are an extended part of our team, who are just good, solid people who I know, look, man, I'm in a jam. I need you to help me get out. And those guys come through for me. If I say, hey, look, I'm a little bit light on my budget here. Can you shave a little off your number? Or this client's in a snag. Can you do this a little bit of extra, but be very fair, charge him at cost instead of marking up your profit too much just to help the guy out. Those are the guys that I want to do business with, because they know it's we're not just talking about this project. We're talking about the next 10 years of projects we're going to do together. And you're going to have an opportunity to make that couple $100, couple $1,000, whatever it is. You'll make that money up. The guys who are too short-sighted to see that and become too difficult, it's okay, we're not going to work together anymore. Mm-hmm. Just go work with somebody else. Because again, it goes back to the end product and the end feeling you had of working with us. Are you going to remember us being difficult and creating an obstacle for you financially over a small item that, in the grand scheme of things, is something that, doesn't really affect us that much, but it's a big impact to you because you're paying out of pocket to, get this gym off the ground and all that stuff. Right. So,
yeah. So it is time for the morning. What we usually do at the start of the episode, but that's where we take comments and comments and questions from our listeners or from social media. So this one I thought was a good one for this group. This one came from Liz, and we've kind of hit on it, but we can hit it just a little bit more. So entrepreneurship versus age. You guys all entered your entrepreneurship era at different stages in life. So how do you think that entering, you at 19, entrepreneurship was, what do you think, 2019 would have put you at what?
I was early 30s.
Early 30s and me in my 40s. So how do you, I guess the question is, how does that differently impact what you're doing? And, and maybe that didn't go much more into that. I just think it's a cool talking point.
That is a super cool talking point. Honestly, I don't know any different.
Well, you're too young to know. Right?
I had a full-time job for 11 and a half months. That was it. And I've been on my own, making my own money, making my own. And don't get me wrong, that came with an enormous amount of headache and pain and falling on my face, because I had to learn everything. I had to learn how to talk to people, how to sell people things, why I need to sell people things in the first place. Because I was 19, I literally learned how to sell things being on the road, selling t-shirts for my band to go get to the next place. I learned how to sell doing that. And that was even before I was 19. But, I know, I'll say this, because I'm older now, right? I've been running my actual company now for 13 years, and going from being single, super resilient, nothing to lose, and then finally then building up a good company, starting to get real estate investments going, other cushions, getting married, now having a kid. I can tell you that shift has become, I guess I'm a little bit more safer with the things that I'm acquiring, investment wise, business decisions, even things like where do we live, I have to consider now Lisa and a baby. Do I just jump and go what you did? That's crazy. Thinking about it, actually, even because you had both your kids when you went off.
Yeah. Mine was
and you didn't even have your first one yet. Yeah. So this is gonna be a very interesting conversation. But my I guess mindset has shifted, just being in the game longer now. It's I've got more to lose now. Do I want to get a little bit more uncomfortable? And I will tell you that because I have more to lose, I guess I don't feel as like raw anymore because I'm like, I don't want to fuck that up over there because that's working really well. But the reality is like if I got rid of that or if I did take a risk over there, that could triple or quadruple. And that's the scary part with the risk because it's like it's working good, but it could be 10 times better. And like that's when things start to get very, I feel like David Haas would have a whole bunch to say about that. But that's where I feel like I'm at right now. It's like things are really good right there. It's like, but they could be 10 times better because I've built that up knowing what I know back then. Now that I know beyond this, it's like, maybe it's time to shift, maybe like kind of make some waves in the water a little bit now because it's kind of gotten calm and I've gotten a little bit soft in some areas, I guess. But
I think like maybe I go next because then Rob kind of finds right in the middle.
Yeah.
It's like for me, I jumped into entrepreneurship, but like my wife had already been a cop 13 years. I'd been a cop 20 years. We're very established in like our terms of our security and finances at that point. Making $100,000, and she actually quit first. Just so you talked about your wife having a good job and knowing that like, okay, like, we'll still be fine. It won't be as comfortable if things go really bad, but we'll still be fine because I've got my job and the salary and all those things coming in. But I think what that gave us was kind of like your truck, your house, you bought that all through owning your business.
Yeah.
I bought all those big things, had those big investments because I was a cop, not because of my business. And it was like, I almost felt like I tied myself in. It made it hard because I was like, I had to keep paying my mortgage. Like I'm going to quit, but I still have this house that I'm paying for. And I still have these cars that I probably didn't need, like that were just, it was easier to have as a cop. I would have, if I was thinking as an entrepreneur, I would have bought a beat up truck.
Yeah.
And like those kinds of things. So I felt that was difficult for me. It was like, and I don't want to lose my house, right? Like that was the thing. But at the end of the day too, like seeing my house was like my, and then what, I guess when I went in, it was like, I had my house and thankfully I had paid down lots of the house. And now as entrepreneurs, it's very hard to get that credit. And I think I took that for granted because now you can't get credit for nothing. Like, cause you're like, oh, you own a business. Like, oh,
now
how
you're
much make last year? I'm like, I tried to make as little as possible. CRA, don't listen. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, but that was the kind of things. It was like, oh shit. Like, so like at the same time, I'm very fortunate. I had all those 20 years of build up to get, so I have the nice house that we're able to live in and be comfortable in. But also it's like very much, it's like shit. I tied myself into a lot of like financial commitments that I don't necessarily want to pay for anymore, but I have to find a way to do it. So that was for me, that was the different, I think, of my era versus yours. And then, you're somewhere in between because you worked a regular job for a shorter period of time. Then.
Yeah, definitely somewhere like both you guys. I think I have, commonalities with, I think for me, it was like part of it in my head was like the next milestone. Like my wife and I were married, like we knew our kids were in the picture next. And I was like, man, like I got to make this jump before a kid comes into the picture. Because I feel like I was worried if we had a kid, I'd be too timid to like take a big risk. And, there's so much more involved. And so I was like, okay, like now's the time to do it. But also like, being aware that there is like kind of like you, there's like a lot to lose and still, had a lot of kind of commitments. So it was like kind of made me a bit more dialed in. Whereas maybe if I was younger, I wouldn't have taken it as seriously, and maybe I would have been like, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll just go back, whatever. I was like, no, this has to work out. And I was took it like very, very seriously. And like, basically like, one thing I remember just coming back to me, I took like kind of a vow of like poverty that year where like I was planning to do it in 2019. And in 2019, like New Year's, I was like, I'm not buying anything unnecessary. Like I'm not buying any clothes, no shoes, just like groceries, bills, like if something breaks, I'll fix it, but I'm not buying anything unnecessary. And so like, I was like trying to like get into the mindset of like, okay, like we have to be like totally like ready for this and like willing to make sacrifices. And so like, then once everything started snowballing and like, taking shape, I was like, okay, I can take like a little breather, take a little breath and feel like, okay, like we can relax a little bit, but going into it, just being more prepared and yeah.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because you're like, I want to make this perfect family. You're like, I don't even know what a family is.
I didn't know nothing.
Family, what? Like the last thing I want is to get anybody pregnant, right?
Yeah, for real.
Like I already got these kids in this like for me, I'm like, I feel like I'm already living this perfect life. I should be happy, but I'm not, and I got to take this next step, which is going to risk all of it.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny what you said about the stuff, man. Like, I don't know, like to me, like right now, like that's like my biggest problem. It's like, when do you fucking have this shit for? Why do I have all this stuff? So many shoes, so many shirts, so many everything. I'm just trying to like, it's not a vow of poverty I'm trying to do, but man, we're trying to not do any of that anymore. I just want like everything we invest, I want it to be either be like to make this place better or the house or experiences like we talked about, like never regret a trip. But man, I wish we had less stuff.
Yeah.
You're in that situation too?
I mean, yeah, and like it was actually like really great doing that because like once you like just commit to it, it's just like you don't even think about it anymore. You're not like, I should go buy that or I could use that or whatever. It's just like no, like you just like heading straight down the highway with not even everything's just going by. You're not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how much money you save too.
Yeah. And then right after that, I'm assuming that's when we met. That's when we built your desk.
Yeah. Because you built my desk for my business when I first set up shop.
Yeah, in the basement.
Oh, really? And this I didn't know. I know you guys did work together, but I didn't know in what.
Yeah,
I love that desk.
His desk and his dining room table.
Yeah.
But I think I met you, your wife when she was like super pregnant. She was like.
Yeah.
Like it was like a month or so after that you guys had the baby.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
The desk is a beast. Mike made this desk that goes like wall to wall in my office, my basement, like super heavy duty, and like I wanted something that could like open up full set of drawings and like have my workstation over there too.
That's big.
I don't think that'll ever come out of there.
Yeah.
That's what most of the Mike shit is like that. Like it can't come out, it can't get in.
It goes with the house.
He's trying to sell this stuff from like your shop there, like that chair or whatever, that bench. It's like
it's like a 10,000 pound
somebody want to buy
bench.
this, but you gotta have like a 20,000 square foot place to bring it in.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's really interesting talking about like it's almost like a cage. Like I felt like I built myself into a cage, and I started feeling this probably last year. I started to feel like I built myself into a cage, like a comfort cage, and it was like I got this. It's okay. It's like they say the middle class is the hardest one to get out of because you're not striving for more and you're not trying to keep it. Like if you're at the very bottom, like if you're in poverty, like you're striving for anything more. If you're at the very top, you're striving to keep it. But the middle class, you're just comfortable. And I felt like last year I was like I built myself into a cage. Like I'm just chilling, and like you can't chill in business. It's like you're up or down. If you're straight line in business, you're going down. Like when you straight line on a heart scan, you're dead. And when you straight line on a business, you're dead. And I felt like that cage, it was like I put myself in a cage. It was just enough for me to like, maybe I'm not going to call that last lead today. Maybe it's you guys take the day off. I don't really want to do anything today. Stuff like that. It's like that stuff wasn't happening, but it was easier to think like that. It was like, I've been working really hard. I'm going to go to the beach today. Yeah. And it would be like maybe a few of those too many, maybe a few too many of those. It's like then it starts to just go downhill. But that cage, man, it's like you build yourself into a cage of comfort, and it's like I don't want to risk that anymore. But you're stopping yourself from getting to the next level that way because it's just comfortable enough to not take the risk. And it's like that's where I feel like I was at last year. Like it sucks. So I'm trying now to figure out how to get out of that cage and like where's that next risk. Maybe I do sell off one of these properties and go buy 2 more or something like that. I don't know yet. I got to figure that stuff out. It's like this is the stuff that's getting me all fired up again now.
You two are gonna have 2.
I know exactly how you feel, 100%. Like, I can totally resonate with that. Yeah, it's you want to see that growth, and also, I mean, for me, a big part of it is like, I know an issue is like releasing responsibility. Like, I'm always trying to do too much, and it's like trying to find people who you can trust and put in place so you can. Because
always an issue.
It's just the saying that you hear over and over. You got to work on your business, not in your business,
yep.
Right? And it's like I'm definitely still way too in it, but I mean, it's just I'm sure a common problem with a lot of entrepreneurs.
Oh yeah,
oh for sure,
all of them. Yeah,
for sure, all of us.
Yeah, all of us. Yeah.
And I think we've talked, you and I, off the record, and like that's kind of why I stopped drinking. Is like a lot of those things. It's like what is the next step? And I was having too many beach days because. Booze is like it's messing with you the next couple of days, and it's like instead of getting up at 5 and getting ahead of the world, I was getting up at and I'm not somebody who thinks everybody needs to get at 5 to like kill it, but like for me that works. And I was finding that too. And, you've also got off the booze. I appreciate it too. I was like, I had a big respect for you when you were actually one of the only people that called me out on the shot glass. It was actually just espresso, but it looked like a shot glass. You thought I was having, you're like, oh, are you having a drink? And it was like, no, I'm good, man. But like, is that part of the reasons why you've kind of stopped drinking too, right?
Yeah, for the most part, I would say like I didn't have a drinking problem. I didn't like have like a need to stop so much. It kind of correlated with my wife getting pregnant like in January-ish, and so I was like, maybe I'll like go along for the ride or just kind of see how this feels, and not to get too much into the weeds of it, but I feel like it's one of those things where like when you take yourself out of a situation like for a certain amount of time, you can then clearly like look back and be like, okay, like I'm almost like a different person now in ways that you didn't realize like it would affect you.
Yeah.
And I just like, I feel better, but it's like a lot of little things. And I'm just like, like, look, if I want to go to a really nice restaurant with my wife and have a glass of wine or cocktail or whatever, like I'm okay to do that. But I think just like really like getting really out of like the routine drinking, the stuff that's kind of like, a lot of people, I think it becomes like a slow drip in their life, and you don't realize like the sort of like little toll it takes on you in a way. And I don't know, I've noticed it's like been a huge like change for me in a positive, and just like I feel so much better. So
you said something earlier that resonated with me with the drinking too, was about just it's not a decision you need to make anymore. And for me, like there's so many little things and reasons, and mine was more of a problem that sounds like yours was, but I just like one of my problems was wasting time, and a lot of that wasted time was like, you come over, we have that good, right now maybe we have a drink, and there's no harm in it at all. We have a cigar and a drink, but then it's like, you guys want to have one more, right? And then like our 1 hour hangout now turned into maybe 2 hours or 3 hours, and then affects my next day. And now it's just like it's like, do you want to have one more? No. Like I don't even have to think about it. Like I don't do that, and people have stopped asking for that part. And it's like I've not drinking has bought back so much more of my time, which has made me way less stressed and having essentially like to the point where now I'm actually having more fun. Like I was with my friends like all week last week, and they drank all day long and all night, and like I had just as much fun as them, and I think they drank less, and I think because of me, they also said there's way less shots when I'm not drinking. So it's just like me. It didn't feel weird. It used to feel weird not drinking, but now because it was always like I'm like trying to restrict my drinking or limit my drinking. Now that it's like that's where I was going with that, is with it's no longer a decision to be made. It's like I just don't drink. So now I'm actually able to have fun because it's off my mind. It's not like, oh, should I have one? It's like I'm just not gonna have one.
Yeah, I know for sure. I think, and I did have a couple drinks this summer one day. First time in a while, like had a couple, and I definitely noticed the impact like on my mindset, and like just I was like, man, okay, now I remember why this is a good idea to kind of stay away from a little bit. It felt rough for a couple days, and like I didn't even click into me at the time when I was feeling kind of rough, and then like later I was like, okay, it correlates back to that. And so it's again, I'm not a preacher, I'm not going to tell anybody not to drink or whatever, but I've just noticed like and it's also like having like little kids and stuff. It's like, man, like he's up early, you want to be like sharp, you want to be able to like not like groggy, you want to be able to like go play and be energetic, and you know what I mean, like it's all the
best time with a kid is the morning.
I love like mornings for everything.
Regardless of like if you're a morning person or not, that is their best time when they get out of bed. A little kid especially, like my kids are starting to get to the point where they get up a little like but like before that, like it was all
especially and on the weekends, like I work a lot, I don't get to see my kid that much during the week. Like I'll come home, dinner, bath, bedtime type thing, and then weekends are my time to spend, so I want to be able to like maximize that and like not feel like I gotta lay on the couch or whatever, and you know what I mean. And just work too, like just trying to be a high performer. Like, if you have a couple drinks, are you going to be as sharp? Are you going to be focused? Are you going to be on top of things and productive and that type of thing? So yeah, definitely.
For sure, man.
Bubbly helps with that, man. I like drinking those bubblies, man. Yeah.
Oh man,
bubblies.
I'm almost like I'm run through all the flavors. I'm like, I don't know. They got to come with some new flavors. I've had way too many bubblies in the past 6 months.
I'm also like concerned about how much is bubbly Probably good for me.
I don't know, man. I think it did.
Find out in a couple of years,
I'm like, I'm actually not sure I'm any healthier than all these people who are drinking, as I smoke like 3 cigars a day in the cottage.
Yeah.
I'm like, they were like cracking another beer. I'm like, oh, light another cigar.
So smoking up for an entire week straight. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Well, man, I guess it is about time to wrap that thing up. You got to join your first workout in the building that you built. Like, Rob is a member, but he always works out in Windsor at our most ghetto building. Would you like to get your hands on that building, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Me and Michael buy it.
Yeah, well, there we go. Yeah, then I'll just pay you some rent.
We'll fix it up, yeah.
No problems. No problem. Easy deal.
Yeah, that's
Easy
it.
solution. Easy solution. So thanks for coming on today, Rob.
thanks
Thank
for
you
having
for this beautiful building you built for us. We do appreciate it, and for trusting in us to, with your fitness. It's been awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Love it.
Over and out.
Good times.